Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn. It doesn't come from begging, it comes from being. If people don't respect you, it's not always their fault. It often comes from what you tolerate. So today, let's look at 6 habits you need to let go of if you truly want respect. The moment you drop them, people start to see you differently. Respect isn't about trying to look powerful. It's about being real. Let go of these habits and you'll notice everything shifts. When you keep explaining yourself, you give others the power to question you. The more you justify, the weaker your stance becomes. Think about it. Have you ever seen a truly confident person defending every decision like they're on trial? Does a lion roar to convince the deer he's king? No, he just is. Every time you explain too much, you invite doubt. Imagine taking a break from social media because you want peace of mind. Someone asks, "Why aren't you online anymore?" You could say, "I just wanted to focus on myself." But instead, you go on. "Work's been crazy. I read about social media affecting the brain. I waste too much time scrolling." Stop. Notice how different it feels when you just say, "I felt like it." That's it. No explanations needed. No space for doubt. When you over-explain, people sense hesitation. And hesitation weakens respect. Let's say you skip a family gathering because you need rest. Someone asks why, and you give a whole list: work, sleep, stress. They push back. "Oh, come on, it's just one evening." But if you simply said, "I can't make it," there's no argument. The more reasons you give, the more they'll challenge you. Look at leaders, creators, people who inspire others. Do they keep explaining themselves? No. They understand that clarity speaks louder than defense. Over-justifying gives away your strength. Rolls-Royce doesn't explain why their cars cost more. They don't post essays convincing people to buy. They just exist, and people respect that. Apply this to your life. Maybe you've started waking up early to work on your goals. A friend asks, instead of a long story about success routines, just say, "I like it." The less you explain, the more grounded you sound. People who trust themselves don't need to prove it. A diamond doesn't apologize for shining. A mountain doesn't explain why it stands tall. Think about moments in school or work when you made a choice and others questioned it. If you over-explained, they kept pressing. But when you said, "I'm not interested," and stopped there, they had nothing left to push against. That's what separates people who are respected from those who are taken for granted. When you explain too much, people stop taking you seriously. Picture a boss who over-explains every rule just to please everyone. Eventually, employees think, if he needs to explain so much, maybe even he's unsure. But a confident leader says, "This is how it's done," and people listen. Now think about your own life. Where do you explain too much? With your friends, your family, your colleagues. Every time you feel the need to justify yourself, pause. Ask, would a confident person say this much? If not, say less. Think about a relationship where one person always feels the need to explain. A girlfriend explaining why she needs alone time. A boyfriend justifying why he didn't reply instantly. It weakens the connection. The more you explain, the less power you hold. Here's a truth most people miss. Respect begins when you stop needing everyone's approval. If you believe in your choices, others will too. But if you keep defending them, you're silently saying, "I need your permission to feel okay." That's how you lose respect. If someone questions your boundaries, don't defend them, stand by them. If they ask why you live a certain way, don't write a story, give a sentence. If they challenge your decisions, don't fall into the trap of convincing them, be firm. Because real respect doesn't come from arguing, it comes from quiet certainty. A lion doesn't care what sheep think. The need for approval is a cage. You bend, you shrink, you say yes when you want to say no, just to keep others happy. But what about you? Who's living your life? You're them. The day you stop trying to please everyone, you finally take your power back. Imagine this. You're at work. Your boss asks you to stay late, but you've got plans. You think, if I say no, he'll think I'm lazy. So you agree. You're exhausted, but you smile because you're more afraid of letting others down than letting yourself down. That's people pleasing, the invisible trap. The world keeps taking because you keep giving. Think about that friend who always calls to vent. You could be struggling to, but you still listen, afraid they'll think you're selfish. But people who truly respect, you don't expect you to hurt yourself to help them. And those who do, they never respected you to begin with. The need to be liked is a quiet prison. You walk into a room and shape yourself depending on who's there. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You nod when you disagree. You smile when you want to cry. You say sorry even when you've done nothing wrong. All just to be liked. But ask yourself, what's the point of being accepted by others if you've rejected yourself? Have you ever seen a lion apologize for being too loud? Or an eagle fly lower so pigeons feel better? Real strength never shrinks to make others comfortable. It stands tall. Those who respect it stay. Those who don't step aside. Stop trying to please everyone, not because you don't care, but because if you always put others first, you'll eventually run dry. Think of your energy like a glass of water. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you pour some out. Every time you ignore your needs, you lose more. One day that glass is empty. And when it's empty, who's going to fill it for you? You don't owe your time, peace, or energy to anyone who demands it. Look at history's strongest people. They didn't rise by pleasing everyone. They didn't become legends by being agreeable. They stood firm. They accepted that being disliked sometimes means being free. Now look at your own life. How many times have you smiled when you wanted to cry? How many times have you stayed silent to keep the peace? How many times have you done things you hated just to be liked? What did it give you? Imagine a man who always says yes. Always helping, always available, always dependable. Then one day he needs help. He looks around and no one's there. Because the people he kept pleasing only valued what he gave, not who he was. If you want respect, stop fearing disappointment. Let people be upset. Let them think you're selfish. Let them walk away. The ones who truly care will stay. Think of a woman who always puts her family first. She never complains, never says no, and over time, people stop appreciating her. Then one day, she finally says, I can't today. And suddenly, she's called difficult. But she didn't change. She just stopped letting people take her for granted. If you live just to please others, you'll lose yourself. If you chase approval, you'll never feel free. Trying to make everyone happy is a never-ending loop. You give, they take, and when you're empty, they move on. You think you're earning love, but you're only teaching them to use you. Now imagine walking into a room where you no longer care who likes you. You speak your truth. You say no without guilt. You show up as yourself. And that's when real respect begins. You stay true to your choices. And then something beautiful happens. The people who only wanted to use you fade away, but the ones who truly see your worth, they stay. Because when you stop chasing approval, people start to respect you. When you stop trying to blend in, you become unforgettable. And when you stop pleasing everyone else, you finally begin to live for yourself. Why do you need someone else to tell you that you're enough? Why wait for claps, praise, or permission to be who you are? When you seek validation from others, you give away control of your worth. You hand them the power to decide your happiness, your confidence, your identity. It's like saying, please tell me I matter, but what if they don't? Do you fall apart? Do you stop believing in yourself just because someone else doesn't? Think about a child showing their drawing to their parents. They wait eyes bright for a reaction. If the parent smiles and says something kind, the child feels proud. But if the parent is distracted or silent, doubt creeps in. Is it not good? Am I not good? That same child grows up, but the habit stays. Now it's not drawings anymore. It's their personality, their dreams, their choices. They still hold their life up for approval, silently asking, "Do you think I'm good enough?" This is how many people live. They post pictures online, then keep refreshing, waiting for likes. They say something clever and glance around, hoping someone noticed. They wear certain clothes, not because they love them, but because they want others to think they look good. They make decisions not for joy, but for applause. But what happens when the applause stops? Who are you when no one is clapping? The strongest people don't wait for the world to tell them they're great. They don't need praise to keep going. They move forward whether others cheer or criticize. Think of the greatest leaders in history. Were they always supported? No. Many were mocked, doubted, even hated, but they didn't quit. They didn't need approval. They had belief. They carried purpose. Picture a man who spends his whole life trying to impress others. He works late, buys expensive things, drives fancy cars, but deep down, he's exhausted. Because every time he reaches one goal, he must chase another to stay admired. He's not living for joy. He's living for attention. Then one day, someone younger or richer appears, and people stop noticing him. Suddenly, he feels lost. That's because his self-worth was never his. It was borrowed from others' admiration. Now picture a woman with a big dream. She wants to do something bold. But when she shares it, people say, "Are you sure?" Or, "What if it fails?" Or, "Maybe play it safe." She starts to doubt, not because she's weak, but because she let their doubts become louder than her belief. Then one day she realizes, those people aren't living her life. They don't carry her dreams. So why should their opinions matter so much? You have to stop seeking approval. Not because you don't care about people, but because if you let them shape your life, you'll never truly live it. Think about a tree. It doesn't ask the wind for permission to grow. It doesn't wait for anyone to say, "You may rise." It just grows reaching for the sky, no matter who's watching. There's a story of a warrior who went into battle. People laughed, called him weak, said he'd lose. He could have believed them, but he didn't. He fought anyway, and in the end, he won, not because others believed in him, but because he believed in himself first. Look at your own life. How many times have you held back, waiting for someone to say it's okay? How many dreams have you buried because someone else doubted you? How many moments of joy have you lost because you feared judgment? The truth is, the world will always have something to say. Some will cheer. Some will criticize. Some will believe. Some will mock. But none of it matters unless you let it. You must become so confident in who you are that praise doesn't lift you too high and rejection doesn't pull you too low. Think of a lion walking through the jungle. Does it look around for approval before it roars? No, it roars because that's who it is. It doesn't need applause or permission. It just is. You need that kind of strength too. Do what sets your soul on fire, not because others approve, but because it feels right to you. Stop waiting. Stop hoping someone else will notice your worth. See it yourself. Stop waiting for a green light. Move forward because you were born to. Stop looking for validation and watch how people start respecting you. Not because you asked for it, but because you didn't need it. How much will you tolerate before you see your own value? How many times will you let someone treat you poorly before you say, "No more"? Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides in jokes that sting, in being talked over, in being left out. And you smile through it to keep the peace. But every time you stay quiet, it grows. Every time you let it slide, you teach people how to treat you. And one day, you look in the mirror and realize the respect you once had for yourself is fading. Not because they took it, but because you gave it away, piece by piece. Think about work. How often have you been cut off mid-sentence? How often has your hard work gone unnoticed while someone else took the credit? And what did you do? You stayed polite. You said, "It's fine." But inside, it hurt. Now imagine if you didn't stay silent. What if you said, "Excuse me, I wasn't finished"? What if you looked someone in the eye and showed them you deserve to be heard? Think about friendships. How often have you been the one who checks in, listens, shows up, while they only call when they need something? And you make excuses for them. They're just busy. But deep down, you know the truth. Real respect isn't occasional. It's consistent. And love, how many times have you accepted mixed signals or half effort just because you were afraid to lose someone? You tell yourself, they just love differently. But since when did love mean settling for less? If someone truly loves you, you won't have to beg for time or effort. Respect and love isn't about sweet words. It's about actions that match them. And if they keep showing you they don't value you, believe them. Look at nature. A lion doesn't pretend to be smaller to make others comfortable. Yet so many of us do. We shrink ourselves. We lower our standards. We quiet our voices just to fit in. But why? Why lower yourself for people who wouldn't rise for you? Respect starts with you. With what you allow, what you walk away from, and what you demand. Set your boundaries. Stand firm. Say enough of staying silent when your heart wants to speak. Enough of smiling when your spirit wants to protest. Enough of giving chances to people who only take. You're not here to be used. You're not here to be tolerated. You're here to be respected, valued, and loved, not for what you give, but for who you are. There's no medal for being the most agreeable. No prize for being the one who bends the most. All that happens is you lose yourself trying to please everyone else. You weren't born to be a mirror reflecting others. You were born to be a light that shines on its own. Some people won't like you once you set boundaries. That's okay. Some will leave when you stop giving endlessly. That's okay too. The ones who truly care, they'll stay. You'll lose some people, yes, but you'll find yourself. And that trade is always worth it. You can't be everyone's comfort and still keep your power. Sometimes your growth will make others uneasy. Sometimes your truth will upset those who benefit from your silence. But that's not your problem to fix. You don't have to explain your worth. You don't have to prove your value. You're not for everyone, and that's your strength. Let people misunderstand you. Let them walk away. You don't need to chase anyone who doesn't walk beside you. The right people will understand you without needing explanations. They'll see your heart without you shouting for attention. Stop apologizing for who you are. Stop saying sorry when you're not wrong. Stop lowering your voice to keep others comfortable. You weren't made to be silent. You weren't made to dim your light. Shine, because the world needs people brave enough to be real. You weren't born to beg for attention or fit into boxes you didn't build. You weren't born to watch from the sidelines while others live boldly. You were born to rise, to speak, to walk with purpose, to love deeply, to be seen. Think about all the days you've spent replaying what someone said, how they treated you, what they thought. Think about all the energy you've wasted overthinking instead of living. Think about all the times you tried to fix yourself just to be liked. But what if you were never broken at all? What if you never needed fixing? What if the only thing that was ever wrong was believing you had to earn love by suffering? Peace doesn't come from keeping everyone happy. Peace comes from being honest. It comes from knowing who you are and standing in that truth, whether people approve or not. When you accept yourself completely, you stop waiting for others to do it for you. There's a kind of freedom that appears when you no longer look to the side, when you stop comparing your path with someone else's, when you stop letting other people's opinions decide your worth. Suddenly, you breathe easier, you stand taller, you rest better, you smile without trying because you finally feel enough, not in their eyes, but in your own. Think about how powerful it is to walk into a room and not need to be the most liked person there, but still be okay with just being you. That kind of peace can't be taken away. That's the strength no compliment or rejection can touch. Confidence isn't loud or showy, it's steady. It's quiet. It says, I know who I am and I'm okay with it, even if you don't agree. When you carry that truth inside you, people feel it. They may not say it, but they notice it. And many will respect it, even the ones who once tried to silence you. Your life belongs to you. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself. You don't have to dim your light so others can shine brighter. You don't have to stay quiet to keep people comfortable. You don't have to prove your value to those who refuse to see it. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them walk away. Your peace is worth more than their approval. Your growth is worth more than their comfort. You are not here to please everyone. You are here to be free. Free to live without fear. Free to rise without apology. Free to be your wild, honest, beautiful self. And one day, when you look back, you'll feel proud. Not because everyone loved you, but because you loved yourself enough to walk away from anything that made you feel small. You'll be proud because you stayed true even when the world tried to change you. Proud because you stood tall when shrinking would have been easier. So live loudly, dream boldly, speak truthfully, love deeply, and never let anyone convince you that you need to shrink to be accepted. You don't. You never did. You are not too much. You are not too strong, too soft, too emotional, too quiet, or too strange. You are exactly as you're meant to be, and anyone who tells you otherwise simply doesn't belong on your path. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs originals. It doesn't need more people who say yes when they mean no. It needs people who speak honestly and walk their truth, no matter who's watching. You are not here to blend in. You are here to stand out. Not for attention, not for applause, but because you were born to shine. And nothing should ever stop you from doing just that. Never let anyone treat you poorly. Don't be afraid to walk away from those who can't see your worth. Because if someone truly respects you, they'll never expect you to accept disrespect just to stay connected. Real love and true friendship never come with disrespect attached. There's a story about a brave warrior who was insulted by a king. The king mocked him before everyone, expecting the warrior to beg or break. But the warrior stood tall and said, "A lion doesn't answer the barking of dogs." Then he walked away. He didn't argue. He didn't prove anything. He just protected his dignity. That's the kind of strength life calls for. You don't need to explain why you want respect. You don't need to fight to be treated right. Your calm, your confidence, and your boundaries say everything. When you decide you'll no longer accept less than you deserve, the world begins to shift. People who never valued you will fade away, and those who truly see you will step forward. You teach others how to treat you by what you allow. When you know your worth, you stop making excuses for disrespect. You stop feeling guilty for walking away. That's when life starts moving in the right direction. Nothing steals your joy faster than comparison. The moment you look at someone else's life and wish yours looked like theirs, you lose your peace. You forget what you've survived, what you've created, who you've become. You might see someone winning and think you're falling behind. But who said it's a race? Who said your life has to look like theirs? Picture a runner who keeps glancing to the side to see where others are. They lose focus, slow down, and forget their own lane. That's what happens when you compare yourself to others. You waste your energy watching instead of growing. Social media makes this even harder. You see perfect smiles, dream vacations, flawless lives. You start wondering, why not me? But what you see isn't the whole truth. Most people show their best moments, not their pain or their battles. We fall into the trap of comparing our real lives to their highlight reels. But someone else's beauty doesn't take away from yours. Their success doesn't mean you're failing. There's enough room in this world for everyone to shine. You're not meant to copy anyone. You're here to become the best version of yourself. Don't overlook your blessings while wishing for someone else's. The job you complain about might be someone else's dream. The body you criticize might be someone else's goal. The life you take for granted might be the one someone else prays for. In nature, no flower compares itself to another. The sun doesn't try to be the moon. The eagle doesn't envy the fish. Each thrives in its own way, and so should you. You were born to walk your own road, not follow another's. Think of two artists. One spends time watching others. The other keeps creating. Who do you think succeeds? The one who stays focused on their own work. Success comes from authenticity. When you compare, you dim your own light. You lose sight of your purpose. And sometimes, the people you envy are quietly wishing they had your strength, your peace, or your courage. The only person you should try to be better than is who you were yesterday. You don't need to compete with anyone else. Your job is to grow, learn, and move forward at your own pace. Life isn't a contest. There's no finish line, no trophy for being faster. There's only your journey, your lessons, your growth. You don't have to rush. Just keep going. You don't need to be liked by everyone or fit in everywhere. You just need to be true to yourself. The right people will love you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. Living for approval is like living in a cage. You change who you are just to be liked. You stay quiet when you want to speak. You say yes when you mean no. You lose yourself in the process. But no matter how much you try, someone will always dislike you, judge you, or misunderstand you. That's life. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you show up. People who make a real difference didn't do it by trying to please everyone. They did it by being authentic. They faced rejection, stayed true to their purpose, and kept moving forward. You are not here to be everyone's favorite. You are here to live your truth. And the more you do that, the stronger you become. When you work too hard to impress others, you lose your essence. You stop being real. You start performing for attention. But true power is being okay with being misunderstood.